buddy, Cherry here, and welcome back to my channel. Y'all really liked my last Undertale Yellow video, which is great because I was already planning on doing more of those. Thank you for getting me over 200 subscribers, by the way. That's like wild. I'm really glad people are enjoying my content. If you somehow stumbled onto this video without knowing what Undertale Yellow is, just go play it. Play Undertale first if you haven't yet, and then go play Undertale Yellow. It's really good. You won't regret it. Today I'm going to be doing more Deltarune Yellow redesigns, just because I've been having fun with those. I'm going to be building off some ideas I had in my last video. I'm going to be redesigning some of the main bosses today. Also, instead of a normal speed paint, I thought it might be fun to show off my design process a little bit instead. So you get to see all the different versions of the designs before I settled on the ones that I went with. I'm not like a professional character designer or anything, this is just how I do it. And of course, obligatory spoiler warning for Undertale Yellow. I'm gonna be discussing some spoilers that you might not have expected in this video. But yeah, no, go play the game first. But yeah, anyways, first up is Martlet, everyone's favorite little blue bird. When I do these redesigns, the first thing I do is just to draw their normal design, because these pixel art sprites can be kind of abstracted sometimes. So I like to do a take of how I think their design looks in my style before I try to change it up, just so I can get an idea of what's important in their character design. For Martlet's Light World design, I decided I wanted to make her a handy bird and give her like a handyman type outfit, because that's the reason she joined the Royal Guard in Undertale Yellow. So it seemed like a natural profession to give her for Eastville. Just lore-wise, I figure she probably gets a lot more work in hometown, which is nearby to Eastville, but a little bit out of the way. It's kind of like a day trip sort of deal. So she doesn't actually, she's not there for most of the plot of Deltarune Yellow. There's probably gonna be jobs she has in town, but, you know, she's working a lot, you know? The first idea I had was to give her a pair of overalls, but the color balance didn't seem to work out. So I went and looked back at some references, and I decided to give her this sort of, I don't know, I don't want to call it a wife beater, but that's what it is. Just like a really basic sleeveless top. I did this because I wanted to make sure her wings were completely unaltered, because she can fly with them. And I wanted to be able to preserve that sort of design detail in her Light World design. I also did a variation of her Light World design with some of the more muted colors I did in her second attempt, but I don't know, if she has too much dark blue on her outfit, it just looks really weird and wrong on her. I've seen a couple different takes for Martlet's Dark World design, but I was really surprised that I hadn't seen a single one based on her Zenith form. I thought that was kind of an obvious pull, and so I wasn't gonna try it, but then I saw that no one else had, and I thought, heck, why not? And it makes sense for her, I think. She does have that kind of protector sort of personality. She does put I get the vibe that she puts out a lot of energy to help people, but she doesn't have a lot of confidence in her own abilities. So putting her in that sort of explicitly heroic role in a dark world, I don't know if that would help build her confidence or if it would help expose her insecurities, but either way, it'd be very interesting. I do think she'd have at least one adventure in a dark world just to get her closer to Rowan. For context, that's what I renamed this version of Clover to, just for the Frisk-Chris parallels. Martlet is Rowan's foster mother, legal guardian sort of thing, and their relationship isn't bad necessarily. It's just a little bit awkward and distant, especially since Martlet's out a lot at work doing jobs and stuff. So I think them going on a dark world journey together could help them get closer and stuff. Maybe Martlet even doesn't think dark worlds are a dream and starts taking Rowan a little bit more seriously. Anyways, back to her design. I did want to base it on her Zenith form, but I had a lot of trouble with the colors. The first colorway I did on the first take of her dark world design, it just reminded me way too much of Chris. So I tried actually changing up the design a little bit, you know how martlets are, like, her namesake is literally like a legless bird from like heraldry and stuff. So I thought giving her like prosthetic limbs in the dark world, she's not like a double amputee in the light world or anything. I just thought it would be a neat detail in the dark world. I thought it might be fun, but I couldn't get it to work. She looks way too imbalanced. And I also thought that like maybe giving her some sort of like leather straps on her would give her like a sort of, I don't know, homemade, like she made the armor herself sort of look, but none of it really worked. So I went back to my original idea and just decided to mess with colors a bunch. I wanted to keep her blue because I've noticed in Deltarune that the monsters didn't have too drastic of color palette changes, but I didn't know how to keep her blue and also not make her look like Chris. And then I decided I wanted to try making her armor gold instead of silver, and that basically did it. I think off screen I did end up giving her like this little headband thing, just because I wanted to give her a magical weapon instead of one she'd have to carry with her wings. And I thought that a headband would be the best fit for that. But yeah, this is my take on Deltarune Martlet. And now for the second character for this video, Starlo. He's just a sheriff. He's just straight up the sheriff. He's not a fake sheriff for a fake town. He's the real sheriff of a real town. And he's probably really bored. I actually considered making him a police officer, and I did do a color version of a police outfit for him. I also considered giving him like a sheriff hat, but it didn't quite look right on him. I like the round nerdy glasses on him, especially for his light world version. I think it just looks really fitting. Like, it sort of takes all of the glamour out of being like a law enforcer and makes it a lot more realistic. I think he'd be really bored as a real sheriff. Also, just as a side note, I haven't done designs for the Feisty 5 yet, but I have a feeling they might not exist in this universe. One, because breaking up the Feisty 5 feels like a Deltarune thing to do, and two, because most of the Feisty 5 have really strong villainous elements to their designs. Ed's like a generic grunt, Mooch is like a pickpocket, Ace is a card shark, I think is the term, and then Moray's the queer-coded villain. But for a more grounded setting, like Eastville and Deltarune in general, I feel like those villainous elements would get more translated into villainous characteristics. And I don't think Starlo can get away with having a posse of criminals running around following him if he's like the actual law enforcement with a job that has consequences. So I don't think they can be together. Honestly, his light world design came together really fast. There isn't a lot of variation with police and sheriff uniforms, and I'm sure I could have done like him off duty or something, but I don't think you'd ever see him off duty, at least not in the hypothetical game that this would be. So I don't think it really matters that much. Anyways, moving on to his Dark World design. I honestly don't think he's gonna make it into the Dark Worlds, just because I don't see anything interesting happening there. I mean, his arc in Undertale Yellow is already him getting caught up in a fake role that he's playing, and it's hard to imagine him having a different arc if he was stuck in a Dark World. So I don't think I could do anything new or interesting with him. I think he's just gonna be a kind of somewhat, at least a little bit sad sheriff. But if he were to get in a Dark World, I think it could be fun. I did actually change up the pose for his Dark World outfit just because I was initially going to try to give him a poncho, but when I gave him a poncho, when I redrew the canon design for him, his arms just kind of got swallowed up by it entirely, so I just dropped his arms a little bit. It's kind of an awkward pose, but I didn't really care at this point. I actually nixed the poncho because it wasn't really working. I wanted to go with more of like a space theme for him. He's got like the dual themes of Cosmo, space themes, and cowboy. He's quite literally a space cowboy, but I couldn't quite get it to work. I was gonna try to put a little bit more sci-fi themes into it, but it just didn't look right. All of the references I was pulling anyway just had a cowboy set in a sci-fi setting, so I was just like, okay, I'll just give him a slightly different cowboy outfit. Though I did actually see a lot of this sort of really big trench coat in a lot of my references, and it actually kind of reminded me of Neo from The Matrix, so I was like, heck, I can just do that. And I kind kind of just stuck with that as like the final design. Colors were also a really big problem for this guy because his original colors are just so good. They're so pretty. I didn't know how to change them up because I thought they were already great. Actually, the first colorway I did for his Dark World form was just using his original design's colors, his original color palette, just because there were a lot of pieces on his design and I wanted to break it up a little bit, figure out what colors and like what values I wanted for the entire thing. I think it kind of held me back a little bit because I ended up making the coat one of the lighter shades of brown, which is not what happened in the final design. I ended up trying a couple different colorways based on different star colors. So I did a red star and like a white blue star. But I was messing around with colors and trying to tweak one of the palettes I had come up with because I didn't really like it. I wanted to be a little bit more unified. I accidentally inverted some of the colors and came up with an idea for an inverted color scheme. And I wanted to mess with that a little bit, so I did. And then I was like, I don't know, I haven't tried green yet. That's not technically, I mean, Google said that there could be green stars, but it really felt like a Homestuck reference, but I wanted to try it out anyway, so I just took one of the light, like, inverted color schemes and inverted that, and like, that was it. Off screen, I did mess with a couple more color palettes, but I just really like the green. He looks good in it. I think it's really striking. He did end up green and red, which is a very similar color palette to Rowan's Dark World outfit, but I think they're distinct enough because green is Starlo's color accent, and Rowan has a different shade of green and also yellow and also some red. The vibes are just wildly different, so I think it works just fine. Anyways, here are the finals designs for Starlo. And a couple more doodles I posted on my art Tumblr. If you want to see more of this before videos go off, please go check out my Tumblr. You can also ask me questions over there, and I might do little doodles of it. I've done that a couple times. Hey, Editing Cherry here. Just wanted to mention that the place I live has been affected by the winter storm that's been sweeping across the Midwest and southeast of the US, and I've not been able to go to work for the past couple days. So if you like my videos, I do have a couple places that you can give me tips. And also, I have commissions set up over there if you happen to want any art. Just throw that out there. If you like this video, go ahead and like it, leave a comment, and also subscribe. I am going to be doing a couple of the other bosses in the next video, so keep your eyes out for that. Let me know if you liked this different style of video. It was really fun to not have to do nice polished drawings for a YouTube video for once. And yeah, let me know what ideas you have for these two characters or the world of Deltarune Yellow in general. And that's all from me. I will see you next time.